Welcome back, everyone, after a small break to the North to South podcast. And we're going to start with welcoming you to a brand new football season, starting with the pre-season campaign before the 2026 and 27 campaign becomes officially underway in a few weeks' time. So obviously, while the Premier League doesn't kick off yet, or that people forget that actually league football kicks off before the Premier League, the clubs are currently deep into pre-season, and obviously transfer business and managers shaping the squads, and there's plenty going on behind the scenes, and a lot of teams are away abroad, taking in that climatization of the hot weather and team bonding. So there's a lot going on. So we're just going to get a little episode going, just so you don't get bored of not seeing us. So obviously we'll go through the three clubs that we follow quite closely, which will be Arsenal, Port Vale, and Liverpool. And then we're going to look at who's arrived, who's left, and some little juicy bits that we might one of us might have on each other's teams. So before we get into it, I better say hello to my fantastic co-host Tom. How are we doing on this fine Monday afternoon?
Yeah, I'm doing all right, Craig. Good to be back. We had a week holiday from the pod, so it's nice to sort of relax and refresh, recharge. And as Craig said, we are going to be the next few weeks. I think we will be chatting about the pre-season games, and kind of on my part, I think a little bit more importantly on transfer rumours. It's a very exciting part of the year. Because it's just so exciting just to hear sort of who might be coming to your team. And really, it's just great because then you get to have an idea of how well you might do in the following season. Interesting how the players will come in and gel with the existing squad. And there are some big transfer rumours for Arsenal this summer, which we'll get into shortly.
That there is a lot of players who have joined 3 or 4 times already before even joining, and obviously some teams haven't even got a squad at the moment, and I think it's fair to say who that is, who we will be coming up to about just after in a few minutes' time. So, Tom, without further ado, let's put Arsenal on the spotlight first. Current reigning champions of England, current team that probably have got a lot going on at the moment, being surrounded by transfer rumours and pre-season games, but so we can keep everything jointed. Let's start with how are Arsenal preparing for this season. Before we go into transfers, have they played any games yet? What games have they played? And anything that you've probably seen or heard that is going to shape pre-season into the forthcoming season?
So they had a game against Girona over there in Italy, I think it was, at their stadium over there. And it was a great chance to sort of see Arsenal play for the first time since the end of last season. They were trying like a few sort of second team sort of players like Manweri, sort of Skelly, Dalman, and they all impressed quite a lot really. So that was good to see. Good to see also the defense, as in that they were fairly good without Saliba, because he's got that back injury, which means that he's looking likely, although it's not been confirmed, but it's likely that he'll be out until Christmas time. So obviously we have to do without him, and Gabriel was sort of off, sort of resting because he was in the World Cup as well, I think. So good to see them play. But it was good it's hard to sort of speak about the pre-season without going into the transfers really that Arsenal have already made. So Pierre Hincapié, he's now being bought. So he was on loan last year with option to buy, and so they bought him. So he was the first sort of incoming player. which is great to see because he was really great for us in that sort of in that season. The way that he came in and really helped to bolster our defense in times of need. And then we had Ilan Meslier, from Leeds.
Where's your French then, Tom? Where was your French?
Goalkeeper. Well, anyway, we'll just ignore that a little bit there. Goalkeeper came in and he actually did some quite good saves, actually, so that's promising. So he's our sort of third goalkeeper. And then the one who's sort of more exciting for my part because he's coming in at left wing is Christos Zolis from Club Brugge, who did very, very well for the past couple of seasons at Club Brugge, scored a lot of goals. Now it's just the old thing of can they adapt to the Premier League? Obviously, preseason games, you can't really say much more than it's just a friendly and just to get the fitness up. You sort of see them score goals. Like Solis, he scored a goal, but then you'd think, well, that most likely would have been saved by someone who was playing in a Premier League team. But it was great to see. So we had goals from Solis, as I just said. Havertz, who had a great assist by Dauman. Dauman scored as well, so he was on fire. That kid is going places, I tell you. He is going to become a really good player for Arsenal. Yeah, so and then
James Norwich, didn't he?
Sorry?
He's played for Norwich a few years ago.
Yeah.
Failed.
Yeah, so
yeah, okay.
But and then Jesus scored like a last minute sort of like kind of like a flick on, which not really too excited about because I'm hoping that he gets sold really actually, because we've seen the better of him and now he's getting to his not so good. So get rid of him, I say. Thanks for your service, but get out.
Okay, and what about the outgoings this season? Obviously, we got Trossard, who many people thought was going to leave last season, but if anything, he was probably one of your biggest assets, winning the league and getting to a Champions League final. How do you feel about that?
Well, it's sad to see him go, but I was sort of thinking actually that him and Martinelli, I was saying to friends that Martinelli and Trossard, I think it's time for them to both go and get somebody else in. I just feel Martinelli, he's good when he's on form, but he's not always on form. So that's the issue with him. Trossard's getting on. I mean, he did play very, very well for us last season and did get some important goals at vital times. That's true to say, but so sad to see him leave, but I think it's for the best for him and for Arsenal, really. So we had
Kivior as well, who's left.
Kivior left to Porto, and Carl Hein, who, to be honest, I don't think I've ever seen him play, has left to go to Werder Bremen. And we've just heard more recently, although I don't think it's actually confirmed, but Christian Norgard seems to be on his way to Everton. Yeah. So that's everyone who's gone out in the men's team or is going out of the door.
Yeah, so now. So far, Arsenal have spent 68 million in this transfer window, which is quite a lot of money. And I'm sure there's more incomings to come. As we know, Tom, Bruno Guimaraes from Newcastle, it's been a done deal for about 3 or 4 weeks now. Still hasn't arrived. So why is that transfer being held up? And when, well, we're obviously going to expect to see him join the team, but, you know, why is it being held up?
Well, my take on it is that it's it's been rumours for the past, so like it's not right to say that they said it's been done deal for 3 weeks. I mean, that is a slight exaggeration there, like on your part, but certainly, yeah, for the past few days, it's been ramped up to it's a done deal. And medical was supposed to be today, but that didn't happen seemingly. Now I've been watching AFT today again, and they're saying that it's going to happen tomorrow. My feeling is, I think, from witnessing how Newcastle were about Isak and other signings, I think their team that really try to get the most amount of money for their players. I mean, I guess all teams do, but I think Newcastle seem to be especially in that way. The management seem to be especially sort of strict on players leaving. The other big factor, I think, is that Guimaraes is their captain, and he was still due on contract for like another 2 years, and with an option for a third year, I think, like I've read. And so for their captain, who is really loved by the fans there and the club, a lot of people were saying that the club are doing this so that they can be seen to sort of be heeding the fans' sort of viewpoint, so as to not let him go easily, sort of thing. So that's one aspect. I think the other thing is money. You know, the fact that we've seen Elliot Anderson and then Rodgers go for 116 million, and then Rodgers went for 117. You know, I mean, those are club records for that sort of midfield, isn't it? I think so that inflates everyone else is just inflated, even though Bruno's 29. I think in the end they're looking at around 80 million to buy him, which for a 29-year-old, most people would sort of think that it's probably a bit overinflated. But when you've seen Bruno play in the stats that he's done at Newcastle, he has done very, very well. I think he undoubtedly would help Arsenal a lot next season if he could play with Rice, or even have Rice out and rest him a bit, and have Guimaraes, Zubimendi and Eze, or have Guimaraes, Eze and Odegaard, like just to like switch around and give Rice a break. I think he would really help us to sort of keep that consistent form. So I think it's those reasons, but personally, I do think it will get done. I think, I mean, it was quite similar with Victor Gyökeres last year. Like that took forever to actually take place. There were rumours for ages. Same thing with Isak. That took ages to actually go through. So I don't think it's uncommon for this stuff to like take a long time to actually get done, from when the rumours start to when it sort of ramps up and then it actually gets done. So I think it will get done in next few days or a week or so.
No, and like you say, look from an outsider looking in, you look at Eze, who probably didn't get as much chance last season as he would like, knowing there's going to be a player who's going to cost nearly 60, 70, 80 million pounds coming in, who's obviously going to be more first choice than himself. I suppose it's a balance headache as well for Arteta to have so many players. Supermendi, Marino, he's still in the fold. Rice, Eze, Bruno. It's a lot of players to keep happy in a three, or those type of players as well play more advanced. So you're only probably looking at 1 or 2 playing per game. But anyway, it's obviously something to get done.
To try and counter that quickly, though, I think a lot of what I've been hearing is Bruno can play as a defensive midfielder as well as attacking midfielder. So I think that's the beauty of Bruno, I think, is that he can play both quite well. So he could fill in both and then perhaps give the opportunity for Eze to have more game time.
Yeah, of course. Of course. And a wild rumour that seems to be circulating a lot is Vinicius Junior. Now, I don't know where Arsenal can get the money for these players because they do play hardball, and the fact that you make a point about Newcastle holding out for more money, but Newcastle need to sell. We've seen that all through the summer. They sold a lot of players very quickly.
Yeah.
Not for the highest money. Gordon, I think, could have gone for a little bit more considering his age. You talk about age, 29, 24. Gordon went for not a high sum.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, is it wishful thinking? It reminds me of the Liverpool and Mbappe situation, where Liverpool thought they were going to sign Mbappe and he went to Real Madrid. For me, it looks like Vinicius Junior is trying to use Arsenal as hardball to get a better contract at Real Madrid. How does it look like from an Arsenal point of view?
Well, so I'll put it this way. I think the Vinicius Junior signing is a lot less likely than Bruno Guimaraes. But what I've read, and I have been looking into sort of watching a lot of different respected journalists from TalkSport, from Sky, from like different outlets, and watching different videos on it, like sort of every day for the past sort of 4 weeks now. I think Arsenal can make the deal because they got a lot of money, obviously, from winning the league last season and get to semi-final of the Champions League. I mean, basically that gives them a lot of extra money to sort of play with. So I think they can do it, especially if they then sell, say, for example, Jesus Martinelli, then that frees up the sort of signings. Like wages, because they're saying that he'll be on at least 400k a week if he comes to Arsenal. So I think money is not necessarily the issue. The way Arsenal do signings, I think, is probably an issue because they're always quite shrewd about it, and that's why I think it's another reason why these signings take ages to actually go through. Is Arsenal were always trying to negotiate what they feel is the best price. Now, Vinicius Junior, what I've heard and read is that his contract at Real Madrid lasts for another year, and Mbappe has been told that he's going to play on the left wing, which is his preferred position at Real Madrid. And Vinicius Junior also plays on left wing, so that's one thing that he's going to be more unhappy about. The other thing is to deal with his media rights. At Real Madrid, apparently they own something like 50% of every player's media rights, so they get less money. Whereas in the Premier League, for some reason, the players own 100% of their media rights, so they get paid a lot more income from what comes from their sort of platforms and social media and advertising and all the stuff that they get extra income as well as being a footballer. And he's asked for a wage increase at Real Madrid, and apparently Real Madrid is stalling, saying that the highest player at Real Madrid is on 500,000 or more a week, and that's Mbappe. And Vinicius Junior that wants to match that sort of rate, apparently, and Real Madrid is stalling, saying that they're not going to offer him another contract that is increased to what he's already getting. So the actual deal going through, it relies on several things happening. The main one being that Real Madrid have to say to him that we aren't going to offer you another contract that is on increased wages. Apparently, Arteta has spoken with Vinicius Junior, and his agents, who are the Rock Nation, and they've agreed on personal terms. So that's what I'm hearing, Craig. But like, it's hard to know sort of like what's going on. But so what I think is going to happen is Vinicius Junior apparently sort of would rather stay at Real Madrid. But
I don't blame him.
But it all hinges on, apparently, from what I've been reading from like all these different journalists, a lot of them are, as I said, they work for Sky and Talksport and companies who you would think would sort of know what they're talking about. Say that it all hinges on if Real Madrid agree to his terms or not, and if they don't, then Arsenal have much more sort of bargaining power and will go all in to try to sign him this summer. Which personally, I think if we have someone like that in our squad, that would definitely make us favourites to go and win the league again and go and win the Champions League, because Vinicius Junior scored 22 goals last year alone. When he plays on the left wing, he dribbles amazingly. He is somebody who can create a goal out of nothing. And I give all credit to Victor Gyökeres, but I don't think he's that sort of striker who can score a goal out of nothing. But it's like in the Premier League, I think he needs a bit of getting used to it. So I think if we can get him, then that would just be absolutely amazing, and I would be absolutely buzzed, right? Absolutely buzzed.
Yeah, I think Arsenal fans need to be very careful what they're actually wishing for, because I think it's a bit of a fantasy world that you're currently living in, because it might sound good on paper, but when you look at what Arsenal have built up until last season, if you look at the players that they had to what they've got, so let's talk, for example, Özil. He was a fantastic world-class player, but obviously he was the player. He was the biggest player. And Arsenal have tried, with Arteta, to eradicate the kind of me mentality and kind of create an us mentality. So you've got players like Özil who had to be shipped out the club. Aubameyang was a massive player that Arteta had to remove from the club, remove from the team, a player that he thought he was indispensable. And Arteta gave him the chance, and he thought, he tried to go head to head with Arteta and lost.
Yeah.
That kind of me mentality. I think getting a player like Vinicius Junior, who, come on, he's a rat. Let's be honest. If you think he probably believe that he'd have to be passed to all the time. He probably does make a goal or anything, but he has a lot of world class players around him, and. I don't know, it just doesn't seem... It seems more like a fantasy transfer than an Arteta transfer. And would Arteta want someone that big to come into the squad, knowing he probably challenged the manager? You look at Real Madrid.
Yeah.
You look at Real Madrid managers over the season. They forced Ancelotti out at the end. They forced Xabi Alonso at the end. They couldn't even play for Arbeloa because he was too young. He was only 40 yards. And he won the Champions League. Arbeloa did, and he was a respected player. He played for Real Madrid, Liverpool. He won trophies for both of them, and they got him out. And Vinicius Junior was one of those players to say player power would force a manager out. I don't think Arteta. It's like getting someone into... You're being a boss at your job and getting someone in who will challenge you, but you've just built this culture of players who play together, win together, lose together. I don't know. For me, I'd be very surprised if this transfer pulls off. One, because I know Arsenal are very tight with the money, and last season was probably the only season they spent stupid money. And two, I can't see them paying that much for a player and Arteta feeling like he's got whole control of that squad. I really can't. And I would be very surprised that Arteta feels that transfer, because I think if anything goes wrong, Vinicius Junior would have that backing around him because he's such a world-class player, and I think it's. I think he'd be digging his own grave, Arteta.
Well, I have thought about those concerns as well. I mean, like I was thinking, right? So, I think the player who would be on the second highest after him or would be Saka. I think he's on 200,000 a week or 300,000. And then you'd have Vinny, who is on 400,000, so almost double sort of what the second highest earner at Arsenal. And I do know what you're saying, and like I do get it. But I think it's precisely because of what you just said about the fact that Mikel Arteta has dealt with big personalities in the squad before. I think he would make sure before he bought it, and he wouldn't let himself get bullied around by any player because he's not done it before.
He has though. He's had to get rid of those players. He hasn't kept those players, has he? He had to ship
Well,
out.
yeah, but that's one way of the fact is that
you can't bring a £500,000. You can't bring in a £500,000. You think Arsenal are going to spend?
They're little managers who have done what he's done, are there? I mean, there aren't many other managers who have done what he did.
Won one Premier League in 7 years.
No, they're not that. I mean, like with managing those big egos. I mean,
well, he hasn't managed any big egos.
What other managers have sacked a player because they haven't been part of the team ethos?
He sacked a player with a year to go. Ozil. They were trying to get rid of him a year to go. You weren't going to buy a player
because he made it clear that basically
give him a 5-year contract, pay him £500,000 a week, and bring him in and expect to say, "I'm going to sack you if not." They take him for the cleaners. You'd be like, "Well, you've got to pay me £500,000 a week for 5 years. You can't just sack a player and then never pay him again." We did it with Aubameyang and also lost out on a year's worth of salary. Ozil, year's worth of salary. Some big players lost. Arsenal took the hit of 1 year's salary, maybe £100,000 a week most.
But the CEOs backed him, didn't they? So, like, what I'm saying,
no COO was going to back and say, "Let's spend a
Mikel Arteta."
Well, you're living in fantasy land.
What I'm saying is that already what I said was that I think it's more unlikely, right, that we'll actually sign him, but I do think Arsenal have the quality, and have. Well, they are the greatest club in London right now, aren't they? I mean, they are the greatest club in London.
The best club in London. They aren't the greatest.
And that means that we can attract that sort of player.
I disagree. I'm sorry. And I don't think Arteta. I don't think Arteta could manage a player like. I don't think anybody would want to, and I wouldn't want. I'm actually sticking up for Arteta here. Any Arsenal fan who wants Vinicius Junior is going to be very careful because a lot of players have. Even Mourinho's been. Do you know what? Mourinho was probably the smartest one of them all. He knows what Vinicius Junior is like. He's seen these players get. He's seen Ancelotti, probably one of the best managers we've ever seen. He's won everything: AC Milan, Real Madrid, big clubs, and he's managed them. And Vinicius Junior is one of those players who got Ancelotti out. Mourinho.
You know what Mourinho said?
What?
Mourinho said that he wants to give him a Real Madrid. So there you go. So
yes, he's going to say that, isn't he? Mourinho was the king.
Then basically Mikel Arteta can manage him. So there you go. Done.
If you think a 40-year-old bloody light bulb enthusiast is going to manage your player on a £500,000 a week, who's going to hold all the cards, who's going to be on a 5-year contract, he's going to know you're not going to get
400,000
much money. Yeah. What?
I said 400,000, not 500,000.
Yeah, well, okay. I'm sorry, I misread. £100,000 in the grand scheme of 400,000. But if you think that's going to happen, then good luck to you because
what I just said that I thought was very, very unlikely, but I think it would be amazing for a club as good as Arsenal. I mean, they can attract players like that, and I don't see why they shouldn't be having those rumors and be linked to players like that. I mean, I take it this way. Last year, I can remember also that, as well as you say that Liverpool were linked to
Mbappe.
Luke Mbappe. Well, there were quite a few rumors that were saying that Mbappe would come to Arsenal. There was that funny meme where, like, basically they asked him and he said, "Boo, no, it's too cold."
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
um,
he's an yeah.
but but um, but this one has had a lot more attention than the Mbappe one, and that's why I think that sort of it's definitely not sort of outside the realms of possibly happening. Well, that's what I'm saying. But Arsenal will obviously have other targets that that they're looking at as well.
Yeah, I think Arsenal have got a
So
chance to kind of Zolai's who's joined. He could be a really special player. You look at Eze, probably not one of the best players in the world, but he does a job in that midfield around the players. If you're going to look at world class players Arsenal have got, they've probably got Rice, who's probably one of the main world class players, but and maybe Gabriel, Rice, world class. The rest of the players are good players. I won't put them in like biggest teams, and they're two of the biggest players, very much like Rodri is at Man City.
yeah,
And that's all Arsenal need to kind of keep that structure, and then they build around those players who will give them respect. And I wasn't saying like I said. I just don't think Arteta. I'm not saying that the transfer will.
yeah.
I just think Arteta's got an opportunity to screw this up and carry on with that kind of mentality of bringing in players who want to play for the team and earn their right to play.
Yeah. What I mean,
Yeah,
and like I totally get that, and like I did think to myself, oh, like, is it good that we have someone who's on way more money than what everyone else is on, and all that sort of stuff. But I do think that if Arsenal did sign him, then I'm 100% sure that Mikel Arteta would have spoken to him about all of the stuff that you're saying about being a team player, and like, if you come to us, then we will pay you what you want, but you're part of a team, and he would have said that he plays most games, obviously. uh,
yeah.
uh, but I just think that Mikel Arteta, because of the difficulties had with other sort of A-listers or like with big egos, that like he would definitely make sure that he would agree with him before he comes, right? So the deal is, no one's bigger than the team. We sort of know that you demand high wages and a big signing, and that's all done and whatever. But no one's bigger than the team, and that's why I expect that if it happens, then like I think that is how it would happen.
Yeah.
But should we go on to Liverpool and how they're doing?
Yeah, so much for a quick episode. I mean, this has
Yeah.
been. We might as well just finish record now and say this is the Arsenal episode. And Tom's got that fantastic job of editing, so he could probably do that actually. He's saying he's been going to do that for a few weeks now. I don't know where my mind wanders to sometimes. Yes, let's go to Arsenal, Liverpool, because we're going to stay on the Premier League. So let's stay with Liverpool. But just quickly, Arsenal, yes, as Tom said, have had a very good pre-season so far. 3-0 against Milton Keynes Dons, 4-1 against Girona, and they've got Betis, Dortmund, and Como coming up. So really, really good, challenging pre-season matches with a lot of the squad available to choose from because they have that squad depth. One team that has no squad depth and no first team players is Liverpool. Like, I appreciate Andrea Iriola's calmness of saying, I don't want to sign any players until I've seen the players play. But oh my God, I mean, what players is he watching play? He's selecting players that currently can't play professional matches because they haven't got the right visa points. So as it stands, before we go into how bad Liverpool are, and I'm just going to give a brief overview. Liverpool currently got a lot of the squad to choose from, bar two players. That is Alexis McAllister, who's been granted more time off due to his final appearance at the World Cup. And Victor Munoz, who was the only summer signing this summer, who plays on the wing, who played not 1 minute of the World Cup because he's an up-and-coming player. He's very eager to join the squad, so he is joining this week. So, Liverpool, quick rundown, Tom. I'll tell you a quick rundown of Liverpool's matches so far. Liverpool have been on a United States tour where they've beat Sunderland 4-2. They beat Wrexham 1-0. And then last day, they lost 4-2 to Leeds. If you look at that squad that Liverpool put out there, and you are a Liverpool fan or a Liverpool follower, supporter, you'll be very worried to know which actually team was the first team and which team was the second team. Because I think a lot of players these days pick big numbers on the backs of your academy player. I think Liverpool's average number comes to 150 something. That's how many youth players they were playing. Liverpool are in real trouble at the back. They knew they had issues last year. They chose not to address those issues. And they were coming into this season where Joe Gomez picked up an injury against Sunderland. No surprise there. Jeremy Jackett, the new defender who got signed last year, went back on loan, had an injury, and he's currently working his way back to fitness. Giovanni Leone did his Achilles at the back end of last year, and he isn't due to come back until early next year. And that is literally your three centre-backs who can play with Van Dijk. Now, the math isn't mathing. Not only does it just leave Van Dijk the only centre-back available, there is literally no one to call upon. It's just shocking. It's scary, to be fair. And then you look at the midfield, and that's even worse. I think they've just got Wirtz, the boss line, McAllister, and Gravenberch to choose from. When you're talking about Arsenal squad depth and Liverpool squad depth, Liverpool, I don't know, they could do a Spurs at this rate, unless Iraola gets his money out. He's purposely said that he doesn't want to sign any players yet until he's seen the pre-season. But I don't know, Tom, what do you think about that? I feel like that is very reckless because it leaves you less time to buy players, because obviously a lot of teams are now snapping up those players. Not only that, it leaves you less time when you get players in to give them a decent run out fitness-wise, but not only that, to play the way you want to play. Two, he's leaving that long. There's going to be you're going to lose those first picks. I mean, I'm an Arsenal fan looking at it. I mean, what is your assessment of this? Shambles?
I mean, that's the first time that I heard that Iraola is saying that he doesn't spend until the pre-season games are sort of over or see how they play. I mean, I do think that's a bad call, especially because, I mean, I saw how Vic Gyökeres was one signing that we did, and he didn't come until the end of pre-season. So I think he got into the last pre-season game, I think it was. Yeah. And you could see how that affected how he was in the first few games in the in the league. I mean, I think it took him quite a while to get used to the league as well. But if he had been bought right at the beginning of the pre-season games, then I think he undoubtedly would have come out flying throughout the first few games and scored more goals than what he would have. So I do think that's very worrying for Liverpool, that you aren't making signings. I mean, it sounds like your defence is full of holes still, but that was the case last season, wasn't it? Which is very worrying, because even though Liverpool for the past few years have been very attacking and they get lots of goals, fine, that's their tactic, but you're always going to lose a lot of goals because your defence has got holes all the way through it. And teams will know that, and they'll do tactics so that they can score more than you do.
And not only that, they've got issues in the attack as well. As we know, they've got Isak, Ekitike, two players who are very similar to each other, but also Gakpo, who had a real tough season last year because he isn't a left winger. You know, Liverpool sold Diaz, didn't replace him, and then expected Gakpo to play there. You could see he wasn't a winger. Technically he can play there because he has, but you can see he doesn't get the best out of him there. So he's another striker. So now you've got 3 strikers. And then lo and behold, the new lad they brought in, Victor Munoz, yes, he can play left wing, but he's also a striker. And then you look at the goals he scored. He started off at Real Madrid, where he played 2 games and no goals. And he went to Osasuna, played 34 goals and only 6 goals. 34 games and only 6 goals. It doesn't read. He's obviously not coming in to replace Salah. Let's put it that way. I didn't even know who the lad was. I'll be honest with you, I didn't even know who the lad was.
Yeah.
And then obviously Federico Chiesa, who, what's happening with them? Like, I honestly, the only player, I can't even say I'm happy about them. I don't actually know what Liverpool's game plan this season is, and I don't know if that's. I said on the podcast when we broke the Iriola news that to me it felt like a bit of a yes man appointment. I'm not saying he's not very good, and we saw how well Bournemouth played, but I took a comparison from Brendan Rodgers when he joined Liverpool. He did amazing for Swansea, pressing football, but he kind of come to the squad and wasn't, we didn't have to buy big players, I'll use the squad available to me. That's okay if you're looking to finish 10th, 11th, 12th in the league, maybe a European push near the end of the season. But you're coming in as Liverpool, big managers, Benitez, Klopp, trying to follow, even Slot, who won a league, regardless of the validation of that league, he's won a league. So you're following 3 managers who have won a lot for Liverpool, yet he's got this mentality of, let's use the squad available to me. It's not great. And if anybody watched that pre-season game last night, although I didn't watch it, I watched some of the highlights. It's so disjointed. And if Leeds can score 4 bloody goals past you, and knows what Arsenal will do with them.
That's it.
That's it.
I mean, that's worrying. But the one good, I don't know how strong this rumor is or how likely it is, but I hear that Liverpool are after Bradley Barcola from PSG. That would help your left wing situation if he came, wouldn't it?
It would, and I'm very much a bit like I just said to you about Vinicius Junior coming in. Would Arsenal fans, yes, as a star player, look amazing, but would it upset the clean? Same with Barcola, he comes in, and yes, he isn't that level as Vinicius Junior, but he comes from a team full of superstars, and he's going to be playing alongside Gakpo and fucking Tsimikas on the left wing. And I don't know, it's just, you need a couple more players. I think you need another strong defender, a big name defender at the back, an aging Van Dijk, and you need Alexis McAllister had a really shocking season last year. Szoboszlai's probably the only player who had a decent season, and I don't know, would Barcola want to come to Liverpool? I find it a fantasy move, I'll be honest with you. I don't know why he would want to come to this team at this moment in time.
The whole thing is, though, Craig, is that you've got these so-called superstar legend teams like Real Madrid, PSG, who got that much money. But basically, what they've got is they've got 2-3 teams worth of first-team players. So that's why these other teams like Arsenal and Liverpool are thinking that they can sign the second place or third place back up to their first team, isn't it? And that makes perfect sense in that way, doesn't it? Because to me, it seems like Real Madrid and PSG are really greedy because they've got so many players. That it means that they do have 2-3 teams worth of first team players, which is unrealistic, really, in any league. I mean, it's just how football's become so sort of money oriented, basically, isn't it? The sort of money wins at the end of the day. It seems to me, which is a very sad state of affairs. And it'd be great to sort of turn back time, wouldn't it, to a time when it wasn't so much about that, but more about the sort of talent and the local talent that you find and you nurture and you coach and you bring into your team.
Yeah, of course, and yeah,
Right.
I mean, if you look at the players who have currently left, going into the season, Canate's gone to Real Madrid. Mohamed
Yeah.
Salah currently is a free agent. Andy Robertson gone to Tottenham, who look like they're building quite a decent squad, if anything. And Reece Williams, the other defender that has been released. Those three players, other than Reece Williams, were three first team players last year. And when they were in the squad, Liverpool still lacked depth. So what's happened is they've got three first teamers have gone, and they've replaced that with Jeremy Jackett, who sounds like he's a baller, but is he a baller? Let's be honest, is he? I haven't watched him play personally. Who's injured currently? He's working his way back to match fitness. And Victor Munoz, who played for Osasuna and didn't get one kick of football in Spain squad this year because he's clearly not good enough. So are they replacing? I don't know. It's shocking. So,
do you now wish that Liverpool hadn't gone for Isak? I'm not for either Isak or for like awful Etiquette renews that.
No, I think
for Isak to actually buy some defenders who were like again like at that level that like they should be.
The problem is Isak had a bad season because he broke his leg.
Well, yeah, I mean that was
not only that. Yeah. Like you said, he joined right at the end of pre-season, so he didn't even start the season for like 3 or 4 games.
Yeah.
And he joined a team where Ekatike was scoring goals. So how would you play them both? You can clearly see that they didn't know how to play them both. I just think it was either one or the other. I think if you can get Isak in, he's one of those players who, before that bad season last year, anybody would have taken him. Yeah. I'm not saying anybody. He's a good player who scored a lot of goals, world-class goals for a team like Newcastle. The issue is, I personally think they needed both of them, and I would have been very happy with just Ekatike and the money being spent on another winger and a defender. That's what was needed. And instead, now we've got a lot of players who can play the same position and not enough wingers and not enough defenders. The midfield's probably the only position where there's players who you could rely on.
Yeah.
The defence is worrying. Frimpong, I personally think he's a gaslit player who's going to be put on the right wing to replace Salah. I really do. I cannot. What did Liverpool buy Frimpong for? He isn't a right back. He isn't a right winger. He's a right wing back. Liverpool didn't even play that system. But, he come from Bayer Leverkusen in the right wing back position. Liverpool didn't play that. I don't understand why they bought him. So, I think the next few signings, they need 2 or 3 signings now, and they need to be right. And when I say right, he needs to look at and think, is Frimpong good enough? Yes or no? If no, keep him on the bench. Try to reposition his position with the coaches. Buy someone who's instant now. Buy a decent right back, because Conor Bradley isn't up to scratch for my liking, and he's trying to reintroduce that Calvin Ramsey, who, again, he's injured every single bloody season anyway. So, I think the next few signings are important. But listen. Stark contrast to Liverpool have got a lot of work to do this pre-season, and time is running out. I think there's 23 days. Is it 23 days till the first game of the season?
Something
like that.
I know the first game of the season is last weekend of August, isn't it? So it's not far now at all, is it? It's not far.
No, so the 23rd of August, the 22nd.
I know in 2 weeks in 2 weeks is the Community Shield between Arsenal and Man City, in 2 weeks on the 16th, and then it's the weekend after that, I think, is the start of the season.
Actually, yeah. So the start of the season is Arsenal versus Coventry City on the Friday, the 21st of August. Yeah. So that is 18 days.
Yeah.
18 days, and we've got no players come in.
But so then the transfer window ends in September, doesn't it? So but again, like that sort of stalls you guys from going ahead and getting sort of gelling the players together and that. It's not good,
Anyway,
is it?
quickly mention the biggest team in Staffordshire. League Two, Port Vale, who had a tough season last year in that 150th year, where it could have been. It was so uneven. They just so poor in the league. Yet they had a cup run to Chelsea and Stamford Bridge. They played Arsenal in the Carabao Cup. They beat Sunderland in the FA Cup. I mean, when you look at, some of those memories I will cherish for a lifetime. But when you look at what we did, we had the cleanest, most retro, non-sponsored kit in the league in football. It all these awards on social media, the best kit. We've gone retro again, no sponsor, clean, beautiful, and we had a shit season in the league, like capital S shit. He started off with a very poor tactical display from a manager who fancy football. And then we finished the year with John Brady, who it was a lot more attacking, a lot more forthcoming, and wasn't afraid to just sit back through the games and want to take teams on. And so quickly in lower league football, Tom, we don't just have 2 or 3 players who leave at the end of the season. Players get given 1-year contracts because obviously in football, lower league football, the money is very sparse. So you've got to make do with the players you have. So obviously transfers in. There's been quite a few big players come in from teams like Barnsley, Bolton. We've got a young lad called Matthew Craig who's joined for Spurs. Jasper Moon, who plays up the road in Burton, he's come in. So we've made 7 signings, and we've shipped out quite a lot of players. A lot of players who were either very injury prone last year or just could not cut mustard in League One football. Never mind League Two. So we've got rid of a lot of players, probably double that. Probably 14, 15 players have been released, and we've replaced them with some big names for lower league football. Brought in a goalkeeper, a few defenders, and we've also reloaned a striker from Wrexham who wasn't my cup of tea, but we'll see how that shapes out. So Port Vale, Tom, you went to watch a couple of games with me at Port Vale last year as an Arsenal fan.
Yeah.
You get tickets. Not through me, by the way, if anyone's watching. Coincidentally, Tom did get tickets and he was in the stand. You're looking at Port Vale. Yes, you probably don't know a lot about them. You live in the area, so you must hear some stories. What do you think of that story for last year was for Vale, where they're in the 150th year? It should have been amazing. They're so well in the domestic cups, and they just, it's hard to. They don't just play 38 games plus a few Champions League games. They play 46 games on soaking pitches for the winter. Then they go and play Carabao Cup first round matches in the Carabao Cup, first round matches in the FA Cup. They're playing grueling games constantly. A lot of travelling with minimal budget to fly there. There's some teams doing the bigger leagues. What do you make out from that season, from the games you went to, and the passion that obviously the club tries to promote through its although they obviously don't get the results on the pitch?
I have really enjoyed going to watch Port Vale play. I watched, at home against Arsenal. That was great to see Arsenal and Port Vale play. But then I think the best game that I watched with you and the other guys that we went down with and girls was at Chelsea. That was just incredible to go. I mean, I think to my mind just now, just got to mind that João Pedro played for Chelsea and played against Port Vale. So that shows that sort of they clearly were concerned that sort of they should put out their best players. And Palmer, I think, was also on the pitch. I think he might have been on the pitch. And I just heard the other day that Chelsea have just said that João Pedro like he's a player who like they consider untouchable in terms of transfers. So that shows that if they played him against Port Vale, like that quality, a player that they consider untouchable by any other club in terms of buying, that is sort of sensational for you guys to like have gone to play against Chelsea and they played the A-lister names against you. And like, even though the end result was like, it was utter that's not domination by Chelsea, but still, like it shows that sort of they felt that they had to put out their best players against Port Vale, so that shows something, doesn't it? Like, yeah, so that's kudos, yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, and it's a shame because we had this little suspicion that Port Vale might go and get. So I mean, they've won Sunderland. I mean, I'm not saying Sunderland are the biggest team, but they give Arsenal a game, didn't they? Away from
they really did.
mean,
Yeah, they really did. Yeah.
And when they come to Vale Park, we thought, they've just come from the Championship. They're going to start that kind of grittiness on these pitches. And then, I don't know, like, Vale just all over them. And it was fantastic. Obviously, Port Vale have got a lot of headlines this year again. Last year they had, it seems like they've always got headline with strips. Last year they had a very clean strip. And this year, Robbie Williams has sponsored the front of their shirt. And because of that very clever marketing ploy, within the first day, all the home shirts were sold, mainly around the world, because obviously Robbie Williams fans wanted to have a strip.
Crazy, isn't it?
On it, his logo, and
what a celebrity can do for you.
Sold out within the first day, and I remember going to get my little girl a strip, and I've never seen queues like it. So very clever marketing ploy by Port Vale, and he's going to be the sponsor for this season and next season. So quickly, Port Vale start. What I was trying to make a point of earlier in the pod about people thinking the league starts on the Premier League starts, but it doesn't. Port Vale kick off their game against Oldham Athletic away on the 15th of August. That's when the football season starts across the country, the English football season. And then they've got 2 league home games against Tranmere Rovers and Crewe Alexandra, which you could say is a very local match. I'm not sure how the season's going to go. I would expect nothing more than a promotion push, definitely. An automatic promotion, but you've got to be realistic. These leagues are hard to get out of and are very tough. And it's going to be a very grueling season. And just like a loyal fan I am, I did renew my season ticket. So this season we'll know if I go bald or not from the performances we see on the pitch. But yeah, very quick overview like we've done with the other 2 teams. Port Vale have had a very good pre-season. Out of the 5 games they've played, they've won 4 and drawn 1. They've beat Tamworth, again, local to us. They beat Wigan Athletic 3-1. Bournemouth under 21s they drew with. Then they beat Real Murcia in Spain 1-0. And then they beat Blackpool the weekend 1-0. So positive signs for fitness, but also positive time for team chemistry and bonding with all those new players who have come in and a lot of players who have left. So fingers crossed, the next update in a few weeks' time will be Port Vale have a very good start to the season. Is there any news from around the world that we feel like we need to touch on from?
Well, I just looked up Port Vale's matches and see that they against the Wolverhampton Wanderers in the FL Cup in their first round. That's quite a challenging first game for you guys, isn't it?
Yeah, that's on Friday. Unfortunately, I have not got tickets for that game.
That's quite challenging. I mean, does that seem quite unfair to you? I mean, like, is that because of you got through to the quarterfinals, so that's why they've given you that team, or like, is it all just random?
No, I mean they don't get given that team. I mean the EFL Cup, these first rounds are just for teams that are in the bot. So obviously Championship and below, Championship to League Two.
Yeah, okay.
And it is a random selection process,
Because
and
it seems a little bit, yeah, like, whoa, okay.
the win probability I can currently see here is 69.8% for Wolves and 12.4%
Yeah.
for Port Vale. But I'm sure that first game of the season, you can look at it to say it's unfair, but you can also look at it to say either team are still adjusting to
Yeah, true.
their
Actually, yeah.
tactics. And
Like new leagues, yeah, yeah.
Rima would say that Wolverhampton might not be fully got that chemistry yet with each other. We'll
Yeah.
never know until Friday, but
Mm.
definitely a game to start off football. And again, very early start to the EFL Cup, to be fair. And I think that's because there's so many games now played throughout the year. I can never remember it being this. Oh yeah, we are actually a week away because the season starts next week. So yeah, that's right. I'm thinking there's still 2 weeks till the season starts. Yeah, so yeah, it's I
Football
remember.
never stops, does it?
No, it
Football
doesn't
never
start.
stops.
I mean, it's me thinking we've got a few more weeks till football starts, and technically it starts bloody Friday. So yeah, um, yes, and I can't think of anything that's worth a shout out at the moment. To be fair, elsewhere in the football world, unless you can, Tom.
Well, I think the main thing for Arsenal is we're really hoping for this Bruno Guimaraes deal to go through. Several people are saying that the medical is tomorrow, but we'll just have to see. And for the Vinicius Junior one, we'll have to see. But I did also, just sort of whilst you were speaking, before Vinny Junior's sort of rumor came about, we were thinking of actually Barcola ourselves. Actually, we were linked to Barcola. We also linked to Rafael Leao from AC Milan. I think what would be really good to have, and I think Christoph Zolis is a good example of this, even though he isn't tested in the league, is we need someone who is as good on their left foot as their right foot. Because for Victor Gyökeres, we sort of saw last season that we need to have players who are able to swing it from the left foot in so that he can get a first time touch in goal, boom, or header, boom. And then right wing also needs to try and do more sort of just crosses straight in the box first time. So that's the sort of player that I don't actually mind who it is. But if we can get a left winger, and Zolis is pretty good on both left and his right foot. If we can get another left winger who is already established, perhaps a bit in like a tougher league or something, who is left-footed and can do on the right, then that'd be perfect for that left winger. Yeah.
When's the Community Shield, Tom, for Arsenal?
The Community Shield's on 16th of August, I think. So that'd be a good chance for Arsenal to go and whip Man City's ass because they beat us in the FA Cup, which was really sour. It was really no in the EFL Cup. That's the one they beat us, and then it was Southampton that beat us we were in the FA Cup last year. But that was a really horrible game to watch and was really, really disappointing for Arsenal to sort of lose that final against Man City. So it'd be great to beat them, even though it's not like it's not a cup that is as respected as the EFL, FA Cup, or league. But it'd be good to sort of stamp our authority on the Manchester City, and then go and win those first few games in the league, and then get the confidence.
Well, you have a good opportunity to do that. Yeah, it's always a nice little curtain raiser. And it kind of starts off the season on a high. Two of the biggest teams playing each other, opening up the Premier League season, but also the football season because it's on the same week. So that is it for this week. What was going to be a slow episode, a very short episode, has become a very long episode. I am dreading editing this. I am praying to God it's under a gigabyte because I'll not be able to edit it if not. So let's wrap it up while we can.
Yeah.
So, so that's our first look, basically, Tom, at start of the 2026 and 2027 season. Next week, we'll probably see which clubs have strengthened a little bit more, which rumours have actually become a reality, see if Vinny Jr.'s joined, or if Guimaraes is still agreeing personal terms 3-4 weeks on from when the rumours started, and whether the pre-season optimism is beginning to turn into genuine expectation for a lot of our teams. So we'll keep a track on Arsenal, Liverpool, and Vale, and hopefully we'll bring some more big stories from the Premier League and the rest of Europe next week as well. Now we've got his feet on the table. Tom, is there anything more you want to say to our lovely listeners and viewers?
It's great to be back. Very much looking forward to the next few weeks to see how the various teams shape up for the league and the teams abroad as well. And then be really great to get back into a new season where it starts all over again, and we'll go through our predictions about that, I suppose, on the episode before we do the league. But I think everyone will know already that I predict that Arsenal will go and win the league, and this time they will win the Champions League as well. So there we go. I have said my predictions for next year already. Boom.
I am looking forward.
I'll see you next week, the guys and girls.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to May 2027 to see if that takes shape or not. So everything that Tom just said, thank you very much for continuing to watch us. Hopefully you'll enjoy the season coming up now. We've got a little bit more practice at this. And we'll see you all next week, or whenever Tom decides to upload the first YouTube video. So maybe next Wednesday you'll see us again, and hopefully this Wednesday you'll get the full episode. So thank you very much, everyone, and see you soon.